Why run again?
I'm hoping to be elected again so that I can carry on a lot of the work that's already been started during my first term. There are many positive things happening in the city, and I think we're moving in a positive direction, and I'm hoping to carry that on. We also still have a lot of challenges we need to face, and I want some more time to really work on those.
Top priorities if reelected?
So I have a number of top priorities, some that I've already been working on and some that I'll take on if elected for another term. So affordable housing continues to be a top priority. I feel really good about some of the things that the Commission has done just this year and recently in the last 2 months. So we're moving forward with a housing market analysis, which should provide us with good data and information as we move forward with a plan and move forward with updating our master plan, which I anticipate will have a focus on housing. We just signed a contract with Housing Next. They are an organization in Ottawa County that's really looked to as an expert in housing in the region. So we'll be working with them to take a look at what we're doing internally, but also looking at what we need to do to be more strategic around housing. We just signed a contract with the Michigan Land Bank, so we have over 100 properties that are currently with the Kent County Land Bank that will convert over to the Michigan Land Bank, and we'll be hopefully working in partnership with our nonprofit housing corporations in town to look at how we can utilize those properties for affordable housing. And then going into our master plan. So my hope is that next year we will embark on updating our master plan with a scope on housing. Still have a lot of priorities around improving community and police relations. I'm really happy to have Chief Payne in place and to be able to support him. I know that he shares a lot of the priorities that the City Commission has around improving community and police relations, so that will continue to be a priority. I know that we're due for an update and another traffic study, so we had committed to doing that a couple years ago after the first one, that we would implement some changes and then come back and do another traffic study to see where progress was made. So I believe that that has to be done, and I'm not sure if it'll be next year or the year after that. And then around neighborhoods, so we're spending a lot of time right now looking at what we can do to strengthen our neighborhoods, and we have the Neighborhood Match Fund in place and the Summit. Some neighborhoods are really excelling and we're seeing a lot of vibrancy and economic development, while others there's still some struggle. So we need to really look at how we can target and invest in the neighborhoods that continue to struggle. The river restoration is a priority, so we're in the midst of the permitting process, but we're hoping to be in the river next year. That is a $45 million project that will have a huge impact on our community. The city right now, we're being as proactive as possible to make sure that that local businesses are teed up to apply for some of those projects with the river restoration project. We're working with Grand Rapids Public Schools around that. And then parks. Parks continue to be a priority. One of my goals is that we have a park within safe walking distance of every child in the city. We have a handful of neighborhoods, particularly on the southeast side, where children don't have access to a park or a playground. We put money in our budget last year for park acquisition in the 3rd Ward, and I really want to move that forward, hopefully in the next year.
When you talk about neighborhoods that need improvement, is there one particular area in town that you'd like to see focused on?
Yeah. So since probably about 8 months into being elected, so this was mid-2016, there was a report that came out looking at all of our neighborhoods, and it identified actually 17 census tracts, and we call those neighborhoods of focus, and they span across the 3rd Ward and 1st Ward. Those 17 neighborhoods of focus are our neighborhoods where we have the highest percentage of families living in poverty. We have the highest percentage of unemployment. That's where we often see a concentration of crime. So we've, about the last year and a half, we've done a lot of work focusing on those 17 neighborhoods of focus in different ways and with different programs. And so those neighborhoods are the ones that I believe we need to continue to focus on. Increase opportunity, economic development. A lot of the programs that I've started are really focused in those neighborhoods. So my Mayor's 100, where we're providing internships and job opportunities for youth, we focus on the neighborhoods of focus. Hiring fair, we focus on the neighborhoods of focus. the racial equity initiative that I've been leading in partnership with Dr. Bill Pink from GRCC. We focus on the neighborhoods of focus. So we've put a lot of energy really looking at those neighborhoods.
One initiative that didn't come out of City Hall, more grassroots, but you're going to have to deal with one way or the other, is this idea of expanding the city commission.
Oh, yeah.
To 8 commissioners,
Yeah.
one ward, one person for each ward. What's your take on that, and where do you see that going?
Yeah. So if that change ultimately comes to fruition, it would have to be through a vote of the people. It would be a charter amendment. I personally am open to looking at different structures, but not until we do some due diligence and look at the data and the research and the potential ramifications of that. There's a lot of cities that have a similar commission as us, especially when you're a city manager form of government. So you definitely have different structures when it's a strong mayor form of government versus a city manager form of government. I think it's important for us to look at those. So 2.5 months ago, the City Commission put together a task force on elected representation. They're about 2 months into their work right now. We've asked them to take a close look at actually 4 different ideas that have been brought forward by the community. They should be reporting out to us in December, and then once I have that information, then we'll decide whether to move forward to put it on the ballot or not. There's one question that they're looking at that isn't a ballot question. It would actually come through the commission as a resolution, and that would be to switch from odd year elections to even year elections. Many other cities have done that. I think we have good data to show the impact that has, and I anticipate that the City Commission will decide whether to move forward with that recommendation probably at the end of this year once we hear back from the task force.
But to be clear, you haven't made a decision until you hear some of the details, especially on the expansion part of this.
Correct. Yeah. And I've talked to other mayors, and I've looked at other cities. I think there are pros and cons to each. The system we have right now, where you have 2 commissioners representing a ward, and how they're staggered, creates a lot of continuity. It also really forces collaboration and working together. Not just among that ward, but on the commission. I also, having served as a city commissioner for 10 years, I know that it's really hard to cover such a large portion of the city. So you look at our current wards, they're large wards. Fortunately, I served with Commissioner Kelly, and we had a great relationship, and we were able to tag team a lot of things. That's not always the case. I also recognize that being a part-time elected official and having another job makes that difficult for some commissioners. So again, I think there's a lot of different things to weigh. Ultimately, if it ends up on the ballot, I've had people say, well, why 8 instead of 6? Why not go from 3 wards to 6 wards? Why is 8 a magic number? With 8, do you get people who are so focused on just their neighborhood that they can't really think through policies that are good for the entire city, not just their neighborhood? So I think there's been pros and cons brought up on both sides, and then good questions raised about why do people think 8 is better than 6.
Well, the end of the interview, and we always open it up to whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to say, something I might have missed during the interview. So you've got the open camera. Talk to the folks.
All right. My hope is that when residents go to the ballot box on November 5th, that they feel that the city is in a positive position, and that we've made progress over the last 4 years since I've been mayor. Not that it's all me. In fact, I always say I don't do anything alone. On the commission, we need 4 votes. In the community to push through priorities, it's always a collective effort with our partners in the community. But hopefully people feel good about our city and the direction we're going, and they also realize that we will always have problems to solve, and that right now we are working hard to address those problems in a thoughtful way and in a way that's sustainable. I think that's another value of this commission, is that we are trying really hard to make decisions that will outlive our time on the commission. I recognize in the era of term limits that we need to think beyond not just the term we're in, but the term limit itself. And my hope is that people feel that we're doing that.